Good day, everybody. It is Calxiyn here, and thank you for attending Calxiyn's Royal Court today, where I will be doing my reaction and my review to Wishmaker. I'm super excited to discuss, analyze, and theorize with you all, but first, into the housekeeping stuff that we always talk about at the beginning. Remember to subscribe and turn on your notifications if you want to be notified when I post a Miraculous video. You should also check out joining the Discord server if you want to talk with other Miraculous fans and myself outside of just this video, this comment section, all that fun stuff. I also have Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and you guys should follow me on Twitch because I have some fun plans on there that I think that if you like Miraculous Ladybug, you'll probably like that stuff too. And so I'm trying to build up that Twitch. I'm trying to build up that Twitch channel so we can do like those fun things that I have planned. So you should definitely go and follow on Twitch if you like live streams and stuff like that. And finally, thank you to all of the YouTube membership members and patrons for directly contributing and supporting the channel. I wouldn't be able to make videos like this without them since these videos are demonetized. But if you can't be a patron or YouTube membership member, the links for that are always in the description, by the way. You can go and check out some of my other Miraculous videos, because I actually made a theory on how Chat Noir will fall entirely out of love with Ladybug. It's gonna be like this big thing. Maybe it'll even happen in this episode, who knows? But you guys should go watch that theory, because those theories get to be monetized, and so if you support other content on the channel, that'll help me out, and you don't need to be a patron or a YouTube membership member to do that. You just need to check out the other Miraculous videos outside of these reviews and discussions. So if you could do that for me, that would be great. And without further ado, let's just get into it. Oh my god, they're growing up. They're gonna graduate and go to university and I'm gonna cry. Oh my god. I just graduated university, so I mean, look at Marinette looking at Adrien. They're doing little career day. That's so cute. But Adrien probably is already forced into a career. He doesn't get to choose. You know what I mean? Look at them giggling to each other. So cute, so cute, so cute. Oh, I like that. A metaphor, a superhero metaphor. Adrien, his whole life has already been planned out for him, probably. Oh, no. He doesn't know what he'd want to do in life. Oh, no. No, Adrien, don't say that. That's not nice. You guys are the most important Miraculouses. Oh, that's cute. Oh my god, imagine that. You got a cheese shop and the bakery, and you can make cheese pastry. Like, you know what I mean? Like if Adrien and Marinette got married. Oh, their future. This is so like, I don't want the show to end. That's kind of nice though. Like Adrien doesn't know what he wants, but Marinette does already know. Like she always wanted to be a fashion designer, so that's good. Oh, see? Marinette designing stuff is best. Oh no, they made her hesitate, but Marinette, you want to be a fashion designer. Whoa, that's not nice. No, that's not pointless. Alec, this is mean. Like, you're an asshole. What the fuck? Like, you know what I mean? This is so rude. People come for love. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, fuck you, Alec. Like, what is this attitude? You know what I mean? Like, why is he being so mean? Exactly. A career. I think Alec is just doing this because he's, like, secretly miserable inside or so. Yeah, the sourness. See? Look at that. I'm gonna cry. Like, literally, this is too much. This is too real. Like, this man trapped in corporate life quit his job to be an ice cream maker, or not even a maker, an ice cream man. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, hi, Luka. That is true. You can have a friendly ice cream. Luka! Luka, the talent! I'm gonna cry! No! This is too real. I graduated university, but I'm still doing more school. I don't know if you guys know that. Oh. Guys, I want to be a YouTuber. Can you guys make that happen for me? I don't want to get sucked into the corporate world. Hey, Alec, if you fuck with Luka, I'm coming for you, okay? Alec. Is Luka, he's gonna be like, I'll show you, Alec. Oh my god, look at this. They're on like a beach or so. Like, what is this? Like, the sun and the palm tree? Like, where are they? Oh my god! The beauty. Oh! Oh my god. Oh! See, but you saw Alec was crying. So deep down... Oh! Adrien's back there. Oh, he looks sad. Oh no! Oh, nice! Look at Luka being supportive and helping Marinette talk to best wingman Luka! Oh, but see, he's gonna see them holding hands though and get the wrong idea. Maybe. Oh! Oh, look at the Adrien blip in the back too! Marinette's having a real conversation though with Adrien. Like, this is a deep conversation. Oh, it's his nature, see? Oh, damn, he's just like head empty. Oh. Oh, Luka. Yeah. Oh. 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 Oh, damn. Oh. Cat Noir's rock and roll. Oh, that was so nice. I love Luka so much. This did, like, oh, Luka's the best. Luka's the goat. Oh. Oh. Oh, damn! This is deep. Oh, jeez. Oh, Alec, now I kind of feel bad. So now Hawkmoth could find out their identity. That's not good. Is Bunnex gonna be like, well, since Luka's been very prominent in this episode, I would actually guess that they would want Viperion instead. Whoa! Oh, he wanted to be Santa! Oh, that's so nice! Oh my god! Hey, son! Jagged water! That's so... This episode is ridiculous! I love it! That's hilarious! Wait! Luka! Again? No Miraculous... Wait! He's gonna realize she's gone. Suspicious Luka! Oh! Oh, look at that! That's so creative! This episode's so good! Why? Oh my god, I love that! Oh, damn! Oh, I want to see the knitting fairy! Oh no, it's because he doesn't have anything! But I love this Lady Noir bonding time! Oh. Oh my god. Or maybe he never had an idea. But it'll reveal, won't it? I love this. This episode's on crack. I love it. Yeah. Oh my god. I know we've seen this before, but Luka is amazing. Ah. Oh my god. I missed him so much. I missed him a lot. I'm very happy. But if Adrien gets hit and Luka knows, right, then maybe he can help Adrien remember his childhood, like inadvertently, right? If he knows who Ladybug and Cat Noir, or just Cat Noir. Come on, I want to, like, they won't remember. No one will remember except for Luka. I want to see it. Maybe he wants to get hit. Oh. Oh yeah, I want to know! Do it! See, he wants to get hit on purpose. See, he almost got hit on purpose. Ah, no! The knitting fairy, let's go! Wait, but Luka's gonna know! whatever his parents wanted him to be. That's fucked up. But should Luka say? Wait, shouldn't Luka say if he did? Come on, Luka. What do you mean? What? But he's lying! Luka, you hypocrite! You value the truth! You, like, what do you mean he's not gonna say? Bro! No! No! Luka, that's bullshit! You can't lie to Ladybug! Oh! Oh! That is true. That is true. Yeah! Yeah! I feel that. That's me. Oh! Wow! Did Alex, like, become a drag queen? We love to see it. Oh! I'm so proud of him. I love that. All right, everybody, let us get into the review now. Now, this episode is crazy. Like, I don't even know where to start. I mean, obviously, we're gonna start at the start, but, like, my mind blown. My sanity gone. My sleep schedule destroyed, okay? It is 10 o'clock at night. Also, I had to do the subtitles by hand because this episode came out in English. So if you've ever thought that I didn't love you, I am here at 10 o'clock at night with this hand subtitled episode. I did it. I did it for you, okay? And so, yeah, obviously, I have very crack energy right now, and this episode was like that. Like, this episode was 100. That's how I feel right now. And I do like this scene for a couple of reasons. It's not just because of, like, the Marinette and Adrien implications. Oh, by the way, my mouse still is broken, so we're gonna be, like, again, the clicking ASMR. But I also kind of like what they did with Chloe here in a way, because I feel like it could be some type of foreshadowing. So basically what happens is she's just like, oh, you know, I don't need this career day. I already know what I want to do. I'm gonna be rich because I'm already rich, and, like, that's, like, the whole idea for her, right? But I wonder if that also means that Chloe may find, like, her meaning, right? Because people are talking about jobs, but they're also talking about, like, careers and the things that give your life meaning, right? So I wonder if it could be kind of implied in the future that Chloe needs to find, like, meaning to her life that is not just, like, being rich and having money, you know, not just things of materialistic value. And that's why I like what the teacher said here, because she said, like, you know, Chloe, people are defined by their choices and what they decide to do. Like, you didn't decide to be rich. You were born into being rich, right? And so I feel like that's a nice little distinction. And so it'll be time one day for Chloe, I guess, to break free and define herself. But, like, today's not that day. Tomorrow's also not that day. Like, you know what I mean? We're on episode 18. I don't think it's, like, gonna be a this season thing, but I definitely think that it's gonna happen sometime. See, because again, right? Like, it's not just about your future career or a job. It's what you want out of life. It's your inner song, your inner melody, as Luka says. Like, what makes life have meaning for you? Like, this episode was, like, so deep in that way, especially, like, for me. Like, I've graduated university, right? So I've already kind of, like, decided what I want to do in a way, you know? Like, I majored in professional communications. I have an English and philosophy minor. Technically, I should be, like, done and getting a job in that field. But here I am at 10 o'clock at night making the YouTube videos, right? And so, no, I'm also doing more school, and so even though I've already graduated, like, I just feel like I really related to all of this, and it's kind of cool, too, because it's like, we get to see these characters grow up, and they're kind of discussing, like, struggles that we are probably feeling as we have grown up with them. Like, a lot of you, like me, are probably around, like, this age, or this, like, life stage, too, because, like I said, I've already graduated, so I've kind of already done this, but I'm still, like, I'm doing it again. I'm doing more school. I'm doing a musical theater program this semester, or I guess, like, this September, I'm, like, starting at this new school that's, like, 8 hours a day, just musical theater, no electives, none of that, right? Like, none of the more, I guess, academic stuff that you would find at a regular university where I was writing essays and stuff. At least that's how I imagine it. I haven't haven't gone yet, so I don't know. But like a lot of us are probably either graduating high school or we finished university or are in college or whatever, and we're still like, did I pick the right major? Is this what I want to do with my life? Even if I graduate with this major, like what career do I go into? Like you never stop trying to find what gives your life meaning. And so I just felt like this was so deep as an episode. I did like this moment between the girls here. I thought that was cute, right? And I also like how they sort of address that in a weird way right here, because it was like, I should add, you should never let the context impose your costume, right? And so obviously he's talking about like, you know, the costumes of life, right? But that's also like kind of superhero related as well, because that is something that both characters consider. It's like, okay, well, what about Cat Noir or Ladybug as a job? But that's not like the only thing that completes or like has meaning for them. I also want to talk about Marinette, because I feel like that this could deserve a separate video, but does anyone else feel like Marinette is very like ADHD coded, right? Like she has all these things she wants to do, she wants to do them all. She says, you know, there's the things I want to do, the things I have to do, the things I forget to do. Like especially as someone with ADHD now, I'm like, Marinette. I never really saw her that way before, but now I'm just like, oh, like something just like clicked for me today. I don't know why. Again, like this episode just has like energy, right? And so maybe that's what clicked. And I kind of like how Mr. Damocles brought back like the, you know, the owl stuff and everything. But yeah, then we see Adrien like really sad in this scene because he doesn't know what he wants to do. He doesn't know what he wants out of life. And this episode was so good for Adrien's like character arc and his character development, okay? Because like it kind of focused on Ladybug stuff a little bit, but it focused more on like his Adrien life. And this thing that I've been saying this whole time is that like Adrien is tired of being like the perfect kid that just obeys his father, okay? He wants to find himself. That's what this season's been about. I made 2 videos about this already. The one about like, oh, will Adrien reveal his identity? I talked about it there. And the one where I talked about if he'll fall out of love with Ladybug, right? And so he says, yeah, I don't think I want to model anymore. Like I'm only doing it now because my father asked me to. And I realize now I don't know what else I want to do, right? So he's like, you know, I've been told what to do all this time, so I don't even know what I want to do with my life. And then we get something really sad because Plague says, what do you think of Cat Noir as a career? And so, okay, so that's the other thing, right? How? Because like, do they get paid? They don't get paid, right? So like, how would you make that a career? I guess you could kind of do stuff, like, you know what I mean? You could get paid to speak or something. You could write a book, like, I don't know. But, like, I don't think that, like, you know, there's not room in the government budget for the superheroes. At least not yet. That is something that I joked around about in Mega Leech. I was like, okay, like, Mayor, if you want the superheroes to keep doing their job, why don't you give them a salary? You know what I'm saying? But as of right now, they don't get paid, so I'm just like, Plague, what? Like, what do you mean? And so Adrien then goes, well, since Ladybug keeps giving Miraculous out to other holders, and then he says, one day she probably won't need me anymore. And I was just like, that's so sad. Like, that's so sad that he thinks that he'll just, like, get replaced one day. And I'm like, sir, you have not even the second most powerful. They're on equal levels, right? They're 2 halves of the same whole. You know, they're the 2 halves of the same circle, right? And so you can't have one without the other. She can't just replace you, but that's how he feels right now. And that needs to get resolved. Hopefully, someday soon. And I did like the little cheese shop illustration, but that would be so cool if, like, Marinette ran the bakery and then Adrien, like, did something with cheese and then they kind of, like, meet in the middle. You have, like, cheese pastry and stuff like that. Like, that sounds pretty cool. But I do like that Adrien and him are, like, joking around. Plague is making him feel better. All of that stuff was really nice. And then we have Marinette. She thinks she's so sure of herself. She thinks that she knows what she's doing, right? Like, yeah, my life's complicated, but I know what I want to do. I want to be a fashion designer. But then all the Kwamis kind of confuse her, but I don't think they confused her as much as they kind of showed her that she wasn't really as sure as she thought that she was, right? Like, oh, like, what's a career? So that was kind of funny that, like, they asked that, because people say, like, your job is like a job, but your career is not a job. Like, the career is like the trajectory or like the commonality in all of the jobs that you've had, I guess. Anyway, something really important that you do, and gives meaning to your life, right? And so that's the other thing, and that's what I was sort of saying with Chloe as well. Like, Chloe's like, oh, well, I'll just be rich, right? But like, you didn't find meaning in that yourself. That's just how you were born. That's not a choice that you made to live your life like that, right? And so I feel like Chloe will one day kind of learn as well to, like, you know, find what gives her life meaning. Just, again, not yet, but sometime, you know? And so I love how all the Kwamis just go on to confuse her, because it's like, oh, you know, your job is guardian of the miraculous. Of course not. It's being a student. And I kind of like that they said that. I don't know which Kwame that was, but I kind of like that just because, like, being a student is definitely a full-time job. 10,000%. Like, preach it, sis. And then, of course not. It's making presents for Adrien. Well, she said something important, like when she crafted the big dollhouse to hide the miracle box. But what I like about all this dialogue is that they all have, like, commonalities in a way. Like, it's all a Venn diagram. Like, all of these things kind of relate to each other because, like, the whole thing with the Ladybug Miraculous, right, is, like, creation. And, like, all of these things are creation-ish. Maybe not the student one, right, but, like, being the guardian, being Ladybug, period, designing the dollhouse, designing the alarm, right? So she says something later where she's like, I want to do it all. I want to do design, creation, decoration, and I'm like, all of that is, like, rooted in creating things. That's, like, her essence. That's what gives her life meaning, is, like, creating stuff. And I think that that's great. And we had some more funny dialogue in here as well. Like, we had, like, no, like, what gives her life meaning is to be in love with Adrien or Luka. That's her job, right? And then we also have, I like this one, like, you know, carving Ladybug's glorious deeds in history. Like, all the Kwames were so cool. And it's actually nice to hear their voices in English because it just has, like, been a while. You know what? I kind of like that Sass is the one that is like, shut the fuck up, right? Sass is like, be quiet, like, you know, let's listen to Marinette. Like, what is the important thing that brings meaning to her life? And I feel like it is creation, right? It's creating these things, right? And so I feel like, though, it was nice that he said it because obviously he is Luka's Kwame, and they kind of have like a same personality or a kind of vibe to them that is very similar. And so I feel like that it was nice that, like, this Kwame brought it up, like, let's listen to Marinette. Like, Marinette, like, what's important to you, right? And so I feel like it was just, like, opening the conversation in the same way that Luka does later. And I also like sort of not the foreshadowing per se, but, like, this season has been the season of putting Adrien in places where he kind of belongs but also doesn't. And what I mean by that is, like, we see Adrien on a blimp later in this episode. We see, like, this poster where they're doing, like, you know, you'll fall for me one day, Ladybug, or something. I don't know. He said something like that, like, oh yeah, you'd fall in love with whoever's under this mask, and they do the pound it. Was that this season? And then there's the giant billboard of Adrien in the back. Like, you know, there's just all those sorts of subtle, like, funnies, I guess, right? With Adrien, like, being on posters and stuff in scenes where Chat Noir is sometimes also present, right? So I just thought that that was kind of cool. Another little thing. I mean, that's also just her, like, you know, screensaver type situation. But also, like, when you look at the photo, doesn't this Adrien kind of look more like Chat Noir? Maybe it's just because, like, you know, dressed in black and all of that stuff. But, like, all the ones with the hearts on them, except for, like, this one, but the ones where the head is inside of the hearts, it's not like model Adrien, pretty boy Adrien. It's actually the Adrien that is in, like, the darker clothing, which could allude to Chat Noir. Very symbolic, metaphorical, you know what I'm saying? Like, these two are the more Chat Noir photos, and that's one who the hearts are over. I don't know, I just made that up. We don't know if that's the truth, and now Marinette's just, like, confused, she's not sure, and so then she decides to go to the career expo. And so now we have, like, the Alec part. Like, I don't really, not that I don't care, but, like, this is not the important part, sis, but I feel like that it really hit on the head that he was kind of, like, bullied as a child, and now as an adult, he, like, bullies people that are happy to hide his own, like, insecurities about how he messed up his life and, like, didn't do what made him happy. It's kind of like the people that are, like, bullies not only were most of the time bullied themselves, but also bully you because they are too afraid to be happy, if that makes sense. Like, they see you being happy, and they see you living your life, right? And they are like, I would like to destroy that because I don't have the confidence to be happy like Andre the ice cream man. Like, that's the whole idea, right? And so I feel like that they did that really well with him, even though I was like, what the heck? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, fuck you, Alec. Like, during the episode, I was like, excuse me, right? But I think that, like, the message of this episode really sort of hit. And then also, like, Alec is this, like, adult who is, like, categorically, like, very unhappy, like, with their life, you know, and being, like, forced into something that he regrets. And so, see, that's the other thing, is that Hawkmoth acknowledges that, and I guess we'll talk about that later. But I'm like, Hawkmoth, you're doing the same thing to your son, though, bro. Like, you know, self-awareness, where is she? We don't know. Anyway, Andre goes on to say that it's not like the making of the ice cream, it's making the magical moment, right? And so I felt like that was really cool, because I feel like that it's so hard to explain, like, what gives you, like, joy in life, I guess, right? And so, like, some people say, like, oh, you know, I want to be such and such. Let's just say, like, I want to be a teacher, but, like, you don't want to be a teacher as much as you, like, if, for example, like, want to help, like, children, like, grow and have an eagerness to learn. Like, there's always something behind. Or maybe you're a doctor because you want to, like, help people get better. Or maybe you're a firefighter because you want to save people. Like, it's not just, like, the ice cream scooping. It's the creation of the magical moments, right? So I could say, I want to do such and such, right? But really what I'm saying is, I want to do, like, X, Y, and Z. And so if I were answering this question, it would be like, oh, you want to be a YouTuber? What? But it's not about, like, you want to be a YouTuber. You don't want to make videos. You want to, you know, like, I guess what I would say is that I kind of like the educational aspect of these reviews, right? That we're looking at foreshadowing and subtext and, like, you know, shot composition and stuff like that. Like, I kind of joked around, like, but I'm not your anime English teacher, because obviously I'm a princess character, right? But, like, in another world, I probably would have called my channel something like that, like your anime English teacher, because I feel like that it's not about making the videos, it's about invoking that discussion and making, you know, like, kind of like English, right? How we traditionally think about it, analyzing the text, like, fun. And so that's how I see this, is we are analyzing the text together. Whether you realize it or not, I'm forcing you to learn, right? So that's sort of how I see it. So it's not just making YouTube videos, it's sort of like that educational push, right? And so I feel like that's where a lot of people get confused, I guess, or a lot of people get tripped up, where they say, like, oh, I want to do this, but it's like, but you don't really want to do that. You want to make people happy. You want to make people laugh. You want to educate people. You want to help people. Like, it's not about, like, oh, I want to be, you know, a lawyer. It's that I want to be, you know what I mean? Like, there's something deeper. Like, there's a deeper meaning. It's not just scooping ice cream. You want to make the magical moments, right? And so I feel like that's, like, the key. And I also love, it's not a job. It's a career, right? It gives meaning to my life. Like, I love that. And I also do like this line from him too. A little bit of it got cut off, but it was basically like, you're sour on the outside, but you have, like, dreams that still live inside you. Like, I thought that was just nice, right? And he's just like, cut, like, you know, and he does that, I think, 3 times throughout the episode. Andre, how did you know that making ice cream would be your job? And I like this because, like, this was real. This was way too real. He says, being an ice cream man isn't a job. I used to have a job. Every morning I would wake up and do something I didn't like doing. And I was like, guys, like, you know, the corporations, they're coming for me. Don't let me fall into that. I don't want that to be my life. Please help me be a YouTuber. And then anyway, he said the only enjoyable moment of my day was when I would come home and concoct ice cream flavors that suited my mood. And we have, like, little Andre, and he's like, yeah, like, you know, that enchanted my life. And I wondered if my true calling would be to try and enchant other people's lives too. So that's what I mean. See, it's not just being an ice cream man, it's enchanting other people's lives. It's not just making YouTube videos, it's making you guys happy, right? And so I feel like that's just kind of, you know what I mean? It's all related in that way. Like, there's an underlying meaning behind it of what you want to do, like, behind the career, the job that you pick. That's what the truly successful career is. I made a typo. I subtitled this. It was my fault. Anyway, a blend of flavors of what you can do, what you love to do, and what you can bring to others. And I'm like, that's so true. Like, Miraculous is hitting on the facts tonight. Like, I just thought that was so great, and again, like, very relatable. Like, I think of that, like, oh, you know, like, I want to do this, I love to do this, and what can I bring to other people by doing that? Like, I think that that's just great. I hope that this, like, gives people, like, some insight and stuff, because I feel like that this would be really helpful to a lot of people to, like, have that message. And so that's why I feel like it's so important. And then Luka's there, he's big chillin', and, you know, he says that they're buddies, which is nice, and I like this. You don't necessarily have to be in love to enjoy your own scoop of magic. And I just thought that that was cute. Like, that was great. And so then we find out that Luka actually makes instruments, right? And so he's like, well, why are you here, Marinette? Like, you're already, you know, you're a talented fashion designer, right? You designed a couple things. Like, why are you here? And she's just like, well, I don't know. There are so many careers that interest me in the world of fashion, creation, decoration. And I'm like, sis, it's me. You know what I mean? Like, I sort of see, like, the I'm gonna do it all, like, and again, very ADHD, but I don't know. I think that would be a cool video because I never really saw Marinette as that like rep before, but now I see it. Like everything in hindsight, the forgetfulness, the clumsiness, but the hyperfixation when things are important, right? Like sort of like the, like just all of that sort of stuff. And see, Luka's different because he listens to his inner voice, right? And then he shows her the instrument that he made, one of his first string instruments, right? And then Alec comes in and rains on his parade in a minute. And I love this because Luka just like holds up the violin as an offering for the gods. Like it's so funny, but like you hear the music. And so he says, musical instruments fill the space and space fills instruments. No phone in the world will ever be able to do that. And you actually see that Alex, like he starts crying, right? Like he starts like tears start to flood his eyes just because it's so beautiful. But then he like, gets back into like sour mode and he cuts again, right? Whoa, you definitely have a gift for finding the right words at the right time. And then he says like Adrien, and so, well, most of the time, but no, Adrien was there. And so I thought that this scene was good for a couple reasons. I really liked first, like, Marinette being kind of like, oh my god, like, how far away is he? Like, does he see me? Right? But I also like the fact that she, as soon as she sees that he's sad, she, like, gets over it, like, right away. She's like, wait a second, like, put the antics away. He looks sad, right? And so you can see how her demeanor entirely changes. Like, she loses the nervousness and the flusteredness because what she is focused on right now is Adrien's sad, he needs a friend, that sort of thing. And I feel like that could really come back into play in the future, especially with those theories I had about Adrien maybe getting akumatized, right? Like, after this, he may know that Marinette is someone he can turn to, or even Luka, which would be spicy considering, right? Considering what's going on with Luka now, right? Like, if Adrien was going to, I guess, like, run to anybody now and be like, hey, I'm gonna get akumatized, like, here's my miraculous, like I said in my theory from a couple days ago, like, I wonder if it could actually be Luka now and not Marinette. Like, he reveals to Luka and Luka's just like, yeah, I know, right? But anyway, that's totally unrelated. And I love their conversation. And I kind of like how, like, Luka holds her hand and, like, brings her over to Adrien. Because to Adrien, I wonder if he thinks that they're still together. Because that could be, like, problematic in my, like, love confession idea. But I feel like that it's nice because it's kind of, like, supportive. Luka is giving his blessing to this relationship. And the way that he's doing it is basically by, like, literally taking Marinette over to, like, talk to the boy that she loves, right? And, like, kind of helping to, like, mediate the conversation in a sense, which I think is like really good. And so look at how scared he looks. If I don't figure it out, my father will decide for me once again. And like Luka sits down and Marinette sits down as well, right? And so I just thought that was like nice because Luka's sort of in between them, like kind of helping like mediate. And so it's kind of funny when you think about too that he knows both of their identities now. And so maybe he'll kind of be the in-between in that way. And we do need to talk about that because I'm like, Luka, you hypocrite, right? Like you said that you value the truth, but what do? You lie, right? Like at the end of this episode. But I want to do a separate video about that because I don't think that that's like a flaw of Luka's character, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad. But I think it's fascinating because it's like, where is that going to go? Is he going to feel guilty over lying because he doesn't usually lie? Is he going to realize why some lies are necessary? Like, think back on all the times Marinette lied to him. Is he going to kind of learn, like, little white lies, that sort of thing? Like, the truth isn't always, like, black and white, all of that stuff. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Luka. So when I say he's a hypocrite, I don't mean it like I'm genuinely upset or like that I hate his character. I actually love this for his character because it puts him in a very interesting like moral conflict where he always valued the truth and now he lies, right? And so that's very interesting, right? I always felt that modeling wasn't your true inner music, and I'm like, well, somebody tell Kagami because she seemed to think so. She did not like Adrien clowning around, but it's kind of interesting that Luka sees that because again, I thought like, oh, obviously everybody else has not accepted Adrien for who he is. Nino, Kagami, his father. So obviously the last person he would go to is Marinette, but that's actually maybe not the case anymore. Like Luka's back in the game for that kind of identity reveal scene, but like he already knows, right? He already knows. And so maybe he's just like, hey Luka, you would be a better Cat Noir than I am, right? Maybe that's what would happen. I have no idea. I thought things would be simple this way, that I'd be content to do what my father told me to. Like you, Luka, who decided to be a musician like your father. And then he basically says like, oh, Marinette, like you've always known your dream, right? And then, but actually it's more complicated, and they all say that in unison, and I really liked that. Like, I thought that that was nice, and they kind of all like laugh, right? They're all just like, oh yeah, we're all the same, right? And so I thought that that was like really, really cute. And so Luka's like, well, no, like I didn't want to follow in my dad's footsteps, right? Like music is my nature, but that's also like not my career. And I like that because it also shows like what you are naturally good at also doesn't need to be your job. It can just be something that you do. You know what I mean? Like if you are athletically inclined or mathematically inclined, you don't need to be a mathematician. You don't need to be, you know, a volleyball player or something, right? Like that can just be something that is in your nature. You don't need to, I guess, how do you say it? Monetize your nature. Kind of like, you don't need to monetize your hobbies, right? Like they always say, but you don't need to monetize your nature either, in a way. And so I kind of like that. Like he said, like, listen, like the music playing is just in my nature. The instrument thing, that's my job. Like that's my career goal. And so I like that distinction. It's like, even if you're born to be good at something, that doesn't need to be like what you find meaning in life. And so I really like that message. Very nuanced, kind of like layered messages, and I really liked that. Yeah, and so this scene was where I was like, ADHD Marinette, because that's me. But again, maybe someday I'll do a video on that, because she's like, it's a lot and I don't know, right? And then we have my father arranges it all for me. But if I think about what I really actually want to do, nothing. My mind is empty. So here's the thing, okay? I think that this could just be a result of like Gabriel snuffing out any independent thought. That basically, that is a result of Gabriel kind of being like abusive, right? And obviously very controlling, right? And so it could be that. But there is something in this episode where I'm like, senti-monster, and before you say it, okay, no, the theory hasn't been debunked, okay, I don't want to hear, but Natalie can sense senti-monsters. No, she can't. Thomas actually said on Twitter that, like, he made a correction saying they can sense a mux, but not the senti-monster, and so, like, I don't want to hear it, okay? If you think you debunked it, you would be, like, the first person to, because every other debunction that I have seen has not been true, okay? So I don't want to hear it, but I don't know. Like, I feel like that the senti-monster thing, like, is growing stronger with each passing episode. Because I guess we'll talk about it during that scene, but when he says, like, I realized that what I always wanted was to be what my parents wanted to be. Like, the way that, like, the amucks work, right, is that a senti-monster is created out of the emotion. And so if you had the emotion to want a perfect son or something, like, couldn't that be, like, kind of the implicit direct command? Almost like you command the senti-monster to be your perfect son. You know what I mean? And so, like, even without the amuck, because I don't think that Gabriel literally controls Adrien, I wonder if a senti-monster could basically, like, have it programmed in them to take direct orders from, in this case, Adrien's parents, right? Because he said, I realized, like, my purpose or my dream was always to be what my parents wanted me to be. And so I wonder, like, because Adrien's, like, obviously, like, a being with free will, right? But I wonder if there's something underlying in his, like, programming, if the senti-monster thing is true, for him to obey his parents. Because you think about that scene where it's, like, Gabriel said to go to his room, right? And then he just went and, like, oh, do you always do what your father tells you to do? Like, there have been times where Adrien has obviously been rebellious, but I would be interested to know if he's ever, like, gone against a direct order from his father. Because if it's programmed in him to always be what his parents want him to be, that would mean Gabriel saying go to your room would basically override him for a little bit until he gets, like, his free will back. Like, I'm sure that there's, you know what I mean? He's not gonna stay in his room forever just because his dad said so, but I wonder if there could be something in there. But anyway, and I think what Luka said here is really important, because he says there's no one way to become Marinette or to become Adrien. To find out who you are, you just need to learn to listen to your inner melody, right? And so I think that that was really nice, and I like how kind of, like, Luka understands both of them very, very well, and again, that sort of plays into him now knowing both of their identities, right? So I like what he says about Marinette. Like, everyone's playing a different tune, right? Like, and no wonder you're lost. And so again, like, that's what the inside of my head sounds like, right? But if you listen a bit more closely, the music of your band is beautiful. You just need time to understand it, right? You kind of just need time to, like, untangle the threads, right? And so I like this. Your music, Adrien, sounds like it's being muffled by someone else playing a sad piano tune, but your true melody is a happy one, pretty rock and roll, actually. So obviously, like, that alludes to kind of Cat Noir. Like, that's his true melody, whereas, like, somebody else is playing his song. And it kind of reminds me, again, somebody else is playing a song that muffles his true melody. And so it's almost like his true free will is being overridden by Gabriel. And again, if the senti-monster thing's not true, that's just representative of how controlling Gabriel is. But if true, right, it could also be about, like, literally overriding Adrien sometimes by giving him those direct orders. Go to your room, go play the piano, you know, all of this sort of stuff. And again, like, the qualifiers I would have for that is Adrien needs to be in earshot, right? So when Gabriel's like, son, just transform into Cat Noir if you are Cat Noir, like, he can't hear that, you know what I mean? That's just Gabriel talking to himself. Adrien can't hear that. He needs to know that it's his father, right? And so that's also why, like, oh, why couldn't Hawkmoth just tell Cat Noir to unmask then, and then he would, like, you know what I mean? He doesn't know it's his dad. If, like, the thing is, I want to be what my parents want me to be, he has to know that Hawkmoth is his dad. And, like, maybe Cat Blanc messes that up somehow, but I don't know. Like, I'll go check, I guess. But I think that Cat Blanc is kind of an outlier, because I think, like, that they did not want to reveal, if the senti-monster thing is true, they would not want to reveal it in Cat Blanc. And so I think that there's just a meta explanation that they basically said, we are going to purposely kind of create plot holes and have people act out of character here on purpose. Because even without the senti-monster thing, Gabriel acts a bit weird in that whole episode, so I feel like it was kind of like rule of cool, and we'll deal with the consequences later, if senti-monster stuff is true. You two will eventually find what's already in front of you, but you can't hear it clearly, just let the melody flow. And I feel like that's just such a good representation of this whole season, right? And I just love also, like, how they look at each other, like, that was a really nice moment right there, like, both of them sort of, I don't think, maybe they did look at each other and I just kind of missed it. I think they looked towards each other for a minute, right? And so I feel like that was just really nice. It was a really nice moment between them, and it's a great representation for this entire season as a whole, which really, like, is about, like, them both finding themselves, which I think is, like, great. And so then they have, like, the whole, a wig is never a disguise, sir. On the contrary, it is very revealing. And I think it's interesting how they went, like, basically, like, the RuPaul's Drag Race angle with all of this, and I say that, like, not just because he's wearing a wig. I say that because they literally reference RuPaul at the end of the episode, right? So it was very, very intentional, right? So I'm not, like, lumping all of that in together. Like, literally, they make a RuPaul reference, right? And so it seems like that this was his, like, true dream, I guess, is to be, like, you know, a drag queen, because that is what happens at the end of the episode. And so, see, I make fun of people the way they made fun of me when I was a kid, and this, like, very easily, all just, like, you know what I mean? Like, he just kind of exploded, and I felt like that was a little forced, but they did say that the wig was revealing, right? So I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, I can see it. Sometimes people just have a midlife crisis or, like, a mental breakdown, right? I should have been the person I always wanted to be, trying to change the world instead of mocking it, right? Like, instead of being one of the bullies, because I feel like that he thought, if I can't beat him, join him, and then I'll bully other people and I'll feel better, right? He should have been, like, the one to help make the change and make the world a better place for people that had, like, dreams or that were different, right? And so I really kind of like that angle for his character. And so, yeah, then he says, a man who made, so this is Gabriel, I should say, not Alec, a man who has made bad choices because of pressure from others, a wasted life full of regrets and bitterness. And I'm like, Gabriel, self-awareness? Like, aren't you doing the same thing to your son? Right? Like, how do you not see, because of pressure from others, but you're pressuring him? Like, I know that that's kind of the point, is that Gabriel's just, like, the biggest hypocrite, like, all the time. But I feel like that's kind of important, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a little concerning that Gabriel does not see he does the same thing. And I love the costume, too, for Alec. I think that this is a great costume. I like, the scepter has a very, like, fairy godmother vibe. And so, yeah, this person wanted to be Santa. And I think that's kind of funny because there is, like, a toy-making thing over here, so it's almost like he wanted to be Santa as a kid, and then he became a toy maker in real life. Like, how cute is that? But yeah, see, when this guy wants to become Santa, we see him as a kid. When we see the firefighter get hit, we see him as a kid. When we see Marinette get hit, we see her as a kid. But then we see Adrien as a baby, which doesn't really make much sense. And so that's where the senti-monster thing's coming in. Just wait for it. And so, yeah. I also love, and then with Jagged, we see the same thing. And I like how Jagged's like, yeah, like, I love your look, man. Like, so rock and roll, you know? And so I thought that was funny. But yeah, I love, like, the pixie dust, kind of like the fairy godmother inspired, like, play, right? But this is what I'm saying. So they all, like, you know, manifest as thinking of, like, their childhood, right? So you could argue, right? Like, Adrien has no, like, memories as a child. And so that's why they didn't show him as a kid. Like, they were trying to, like, showcase that. But I feel like that doesn't really make any sense because you still could have shown, like, child Adrien wanting to impress his parents and be obedient to make them happy. Like, you could have still shown Adrien as a kid that way, even if he didn't have any childhood dreams, right? Like, you could have shown him, like, I don't know, like, in two separate scenes. Like, one scene, he's like, you know, I don't want to be, like, a model, like, throwing a tantrum, and then, like, you know, his dad has this, like, disappointed face, he realizes it, and then, like, he, you know, starts modeling and sees that his dad is happy. And so they could have showcased it through showing that childhood Adrien. And so I feel like that people were like, oh, but, like, the whole point is that he doesn't have any childhood dreams. That's why they showed him as a baby. But I'm like, how does that make any more sense? Because, like, he wouldn't remember that. And so here's basically what I'm getting at. I think that it's a weird inconsistency that is maybe on purpose, because it's almost the implication that since birth, Adrien has been programmed to be whatever his parents want him to be. Because you could have had him, like, as a child, realizing that that's the only way to get his parents' love, but instead you have him when he was a literal baby, as if he was, like, from day one, from the day he was born, that was, like, the expectation. And again, you could just be like, but that's, like, a metaphor for how controlling Gabriel is, which, yes, I think that makes sense. But with the senti-monster thing, I think that makes a lot of sense too, because it was almost like Adrien was created to be their perfect son. And so from day one, that was the command to the senti-monster to be whatever they as the parents wanted him to be. And so I feel like that's very different, right? And that's maybe why they showed him as a baby. Because again, if they just wanted to do like, oh, you know, like it just means he's obedient to his parents have set out like everything for him, they could have still shown him as a kid, right? Like they still could have shown him like as a child being forced to do modeling or something. But instead they went for like literally in the crib Adrien. Like you don't have any memories or concept of dreams when you're that young, you know? And this, oh my god, so this was just crack energy. This is what I mean when I say like, hi son, right? And they're just like, what is happening? Like it was just so funny. I just loved that. I sent that to my boyfriend like out of context just because I think it was so hilarious. But anyway, I also love how like quick Luka is to defend Adrien and Marinette. Like he's like, Adrien, you hide behind the tree. Marinette, you hide in like the porta potty or something, or the change room, I guess. They're on the beach, right? And so it's like, you know, he is like perfect as Viperion because he like, you know, very much does have that heroic sense in him, even when he doesn't have the miraculous at that moment, right? And then he goes back to check on Marinette, but she's not in there, sis, right? And so what's even more funny is he goes to check it again, and she is in there, right? So it's kind of like she tried to trick him into him thinking that she was there the entire time, but he knows because he checked that she wasn't. And so now he knows why, obviously, because she's Ladybug, right? So that was like the first hint that he would like find out or suspect something is he went back for Marinette, but Marinette was gone, and then she pretended like she was there the whole time. And then we have him like jumping in the water to save his dad, and I'm like, Luka, your phone is trash now. At least take your phone out first. But I guess Ladybug will fix it, right? Because, like, technically is that damage done by the villain? If somebody drops their phone during an akumatization, right, because they were running away from the villain, does the phone get fixed with Miraculous Ladybug, guys? These are the questions that we need to know, right? And so I loved this, too. Again, but this is what I'm saying, right? Like, we see all these people as kids, and I get it, like, Adrien doesn't have childhood dreams, but, like, he somehow, like, has, like, you know, baby vision, like, that doesn't make any sense, right? And so I get it, like, I can suspend my disbelief and say that's not his memory, but like an artistic representation of like his like whole life, right? Like since day one and everything, like he was forced to do whatever his parents want. But I feel like that's a very interesting thing to notice, because they could have made him match everyone else, but instead they didn't. And it could be for non-senti-monster reasons, but I don't know. I see like the senti-monster reasons, and I love this. Like you would call this like, you know, living a dream, and then there's just a cucumber, right? And I actually think that that's a Rick and Morty reference to like Pickle Rick or something. Like I couldn't even explain this to you if I tried, guys. Oh my god, I just love the costume. Oh, it's so great. If we get hit, he'll reveal our secret identities. What do you mean, milady? And I loved this. When I was 6, I wanted to be the knitting fairy, and the knitting fairy did not wear a mask. That was so funny. I love that. But what's interesting is that she says like later to Alec, like, sorry, like when you're a superhero, even your dreams have to stay secret. But she told Chat Noir, so obviously, like, you know, she trusts him, right? And so that's kind of like, even though you know, their relationship in terms of like the whole trust thing has been rocky, like that's a very good representation that like she does trust him, because she told him her dream, right? I also like this. We have little pixie dust type thing going on here, which is great. See, and she thinks that like he's making fun of her, but now like he won't say like what his childhood dream was, but he like has this face because he doesn't remember, right? Actually, I don't know what I wanted to be when I was a kid. You probably wanted to be a magician or a fireman, right? And so then obviously they're just doing the fight scene, so I don't feel like showing all that. I swear I can't remember. You must have just forgotten. If Wishmaker ever hits one of us, we're gonna need a second chance. So that's when they basically call Luka. So again, like he can't remember. And it's not like, oh, you know, like I wasn't a kid that like, you know, thought that sort of thing. Like, you know what I mean? It's like he can't remember because he wasn't programmed to think, you know what I mean? Or to dream, I guess. What if it's also possible that like, even though we kind of see Emily as like the nice one, like I think that she's characterized a lot like in fan fiction and in ideas as like the nice parent, whereas Gabriel's like the controlling parent. What if the only reason Adrien has any free will is because of Gabriel? Because I get it, like, you know what I mean, Gabriel didn't want him to go to school and all that stuff, but like he lived a very sheltered life. But then Emily, you know, went away, and now, like, Gabriel has eased up a bit. So is that just a coincidence, or is it possible that, like, Emily was really, like, you know, sort of using those commands that you can command a senti-monster to make Adrien, like, her perfect son, and that's why he literally cannot remember, because he was being controlled during that entire time. And that'd be very interesting for Emily, because a lot of people characterize her as, like, you know, she was a loving, like, mom, and then, you know, Hawkmoth got her comatose somehow, and now, like, you know, Gabriel's the bad one, because Gabriel's controlling, don't get me wrong, but I sort of wonder, like, what if it's because, like, she sort of saw him as, like, the miracle baby, like, what if they couldn't have children? You know, because that's a very common, like, fairy tale thing, and also just, like, a kind of the implication would be that's why she had to have, like, a senti-monster, you know, child and everything, right? And so what if it was like, you know, like my like perfect like angel, like nothing can happen to him, he can't go into that outside world, and then like she almost like it controlled like most of his like actions as a child, which is why he literally like can't remember, because he was being controlled by Emily the entire time. That's kind of fucked up, right? And so in a weird way, Gabriel would almost give Adrien more free will, like has sort of loosened up on like literally like, you know, giving him direct commands all the time, telling him what to do all the time. And so maybe that's why that like, go to your room, Adrien, he's like fiddling with the ring, because he's sort of realizing like, oh, you know, like Adrien's actually like getting a bit more rebellious than I remember. Maybe he was thinking about his wife, because his wife also had a rebellious type streak. Like I sort of wonder if he literally can't remember at all. I wonder if that's because like Emily was very much more strict with the controlling, whether that was using the amok literally, but I think it was more like passive commands, like, Adrien, you're going to do this with me today, and Adrien says okay. Adrien, you're gonna do this modeling gig. Adrien says okay. Like kind of like how Gabriel already tells him what to do and he just obeys. Like I feel like that may be what was going on like during his childhood as well, but even like more so. And I love this, but Dad, crocodiles know how to swim. I didn't know that when I was a kid. Like that's sort of like the implication or that he didn't know how to swim himself. And I love that. And I love how she says, "Hi there, Crocojagged. Like, I need a word with your son if that's okay." Like, this episode is just so hilarious. And I love, like, Sass is, like, happy to see Luka again. Now, we see this scene, like, multiple times, so I'm not really gonna, like, go over it that much, like, that no one can know about our secret identities, but I do think that that sort of, like, distinction is kind of interesting, because it's like, you can count on me, and then I think he says something else the second and the third time, right? So, like, saving the world with a stuffed animal, I like that idea. So that's what he says the first time, etc. Are you sure you don't want me to make your childhood dream come true, right? Because his whole thing is basically like, hey, if I hit you, right, like, you'll remember, don't you want to know? Don't waste your breath. I didn't have any. Every child has a dream. Maybe not everyone, right? And so he's like, you know, every child has a dream. Maybe not everyone, right? You just need to get your memory back. Let me touch you and your childhood dream will be revealed to you, right? And so obviously, this is a very, like, tense scene. I really like this, but he actually considers it, which is really interesting for Cat Noir, because in all of the timelines, he basically does, like, he's willing to sacrifice Hawkmoth knowing his identity to find his true, like, childhood dream, which is interesting, because even though that Luka is like, hey, watch out, Cat Noir, right, like, I feel like he was willingly ready to get hit all of those times, and so that could show, like, really, like, you know, Adrien's desperation in all this. He's so desperate to find his life's purpose, he's willing to, like, accidentally, like, get hit and reveal his identity. Maybe it was just because he knew that Viperion was there, but, like, that, even that wouldn't make any sense, because even if they went back, he still wouldn't remember, you know what I mean? Like, Adrien wouldn't remember, so, like, I feel like that he willingly, I don't know, like, I feel like he wanted it to happen. I feel like he wanted to get hit. I don't know, and so, yeah, and then Marinette accidentally gets hit, right? And so then we see the knitting fairy, which I guess accidentally, but Luka defends Cat Noir, and she gets hit by accident. I love this. And right, the crazy shit about this episode, like, the crazy part, we haven't even gotten into the crazy part, right, is that he realizes that Marinette is Ladybug, and he remembers because he's Viperion. He's the only one to remember. So that's the crazy shit. And I feel like that deserves its own video, because, like, what are the implications, right? I think I'll probably talk about that in the whole, like, Luka is a hypocrite video, right? You know what I mean? Like, about him, like, lying to her and everything, but I feel like that's, like, such, like, a big shock, is that now Luka knows both halves. He's the first person other than Master Fu to know Cat Noir's identity too, and I'm just like, Luka is the most dangerous person in the whole world right now, right? But obviously Marinette trusted him enough to, like, keep his mouth shut, so you know what I mean? So that's good. But yeah, see, like, he lets himself get hit right here in this second timeline, and so I feel like that's, like, crazy. And so again, right, he doesn't see himself as a kid, he sees himself as a baby, almost as if, like, this is his POV shot. So I feel like that does not make sense compared to everything else that we've seen. And so I feel like that almost the implication here is it's like, hey, like, literally since birth, he was, like, made to be whatever his parents wanted him to be. And, like, again, you could say that that's Gabriel just being controlling, and that's the point of the show, but I still think that it's, like, senti-monster related, right? And then Luka's just like, ah, shit. And then he seems even more shocked that Cat Noir is Adrien, right? Like, out of everything, he was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Like, Marinette was kind of sneaking off sometimes. I thought it was because of Adrien, but really, it was because she was Ladybug. Like, it seemed like that made sense, but it seems like this is like, what? Wait a minute. Because I feel like that's, like, he just saw, like, the inside of Adrien's, like, psyche. Like, he already said how, like, there's a sad piano song, but then inside there's a happy one. And now Luka knows that the sad piano song was Adrien, but this is Cat Noir. So I'm just like, bro, that's crazy. And what's interesting about this, too, is that you have a shot that is traditionally associated with a character is lying, or a character is, like, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to say shady or suspicious, but it's one of those, like, anime shots that has a very, like, specific, like, vibe to them. And I can't really explain the vibe right now, but it's sort of like you as the audience member are supposed to be like, oh shit, you can't see their eyes, right? Like, that's supposed to be sort of the feeling. It's, like, very emotional, like, type of shot, right? So he says, when I was a kid, I always wanted to be what my parents wanted me to be, right? And then he just he just stands there. You know what I mean? Doesn't he kind of look like a little puppet? To me, a little bit. Like, I don't know. Like, that's how he looks like to me anyway. He kind of just, and he seems relieved a little bit, like, to know, like, oh yeah, like, I didn't, like, you know, forget about my childhood. Like, this was my childhood all along, which is, like, fucked up, right? Because I don't think he'd actually be relieved. I think that's just, like, the magic powers. And it seems like Hawkma, he has a very different reaction compared to, like, Cat Blanc and stuff. So again, if people want to use Cat Blanc for the reason why Adrien's not a senti-monster, like, even Gabriel was out of character that episode. And, like, he's totally different this episode, in my opinion, right? It's like a completely different reaction. So, little different. But yeah, and then Luka, look at Luka. He's just like, what? Like, you know what I mean? And he's just like, oh man, like, this is not the timeline, Ladybug. And like, Adrien's just still in the back. I don't know if y'all can see this. Adrien is just still in the back, just standing there. And I'm just like, sir. See, he's standing still like a statue, waiting for his parents' command, almost. Isn't that crazy? Like, I think that we're on to something. I feel like there's just so many hints. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, some people are like, no, it's never gonna happen. It's so far-fetched. It's so this. But, like, I just see kind of, like, the writing on the wall. No pun intended. Like, if I was analyzing something and it wasn't miraculous, like, genuinely, I feel like in any other circumstance, I, as, like, a reader, would come to that conclusion and come to this theory with all of these hints that they're putting in it. You know what I mean? And so I just feel like from a writing perspective, it makes a lot of sense no matter how much people, like, don't like it. You know, because I feel like that's the crux of it, that people just don't like the theory and they don't want it to happen, but they're ignoring all of, like, the writing clues, in my opinion. Again, maybe I'm biased, but I feel like that there's so many, like, writing hints towards it, and again, it could be cherry picking evidence to support my own theory, but I don't know, like, narratively, it just makes a lot of sense. And so, yeah, see, like, he says something different. He's like, I promise, like, that won't happen, right? And so we've kind of changed the Luka dialogue the entire time, right? And so this time, everything goes well. He turns into something that looks like it could be a Barney reference, but I'm not sure. And he basically hugs him. And I feel like that this was really smart because, like, after you turn somebody into their childhood dream, you basically have no recourse against them, right? So it was very easy to defeat Alec after that. And I thought that was great, right? Alec, this magic charm will remind you that our negative emotions make us vulnerable. I'm sure it'll help you to stay positive. And I kind of like that because it's like the negative emotions made him, like, so vulnerable as a child, like getting bullied, that he decided to kind of lash out at the rest of the world, right, and hide his true feelings away. And so I think that was, like, super, like, interesting, like, as kind of like a metaphor in that sense, is like that he was bullied and he kind of lashed out at everyone else because of the bullying that he went through. It's almost like he let all of that negativity build up inside of him, and being your honest self seems like it may be more vulnerable, but negative emotions are worse than being your true self, right? Like, that'll lead to worse things. It's almost like he wasn't being his true self because he didn't want to get hurt by the world, but all of this time he has been bottling up hurt. And so the best course of action is just to be honest with, like, who you are, right? And so I loved this. I love their little pound it, but, like, I feel like that Luka is just kind of like, you know, everything's like, look at his face. It kind of, like, he is smiling, but I feel like that deep inside he's just like, that's his face. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else seems kind of genuinely happy, whereas Luka's just like, the things that I have seen when I was a kid, I just wanted people to be happy, right? And so I kind of like Alex, you know, he's making a new show and everything. And you see now, like, Cat Noir is just like, oh man, like, I still don't know my dreams, right? And so you kind of see how, like, sad he looks, right? But, like, Ladybug's just like, okay, hey, you know, relax, okay, right? And so I think that now she knows that Cat Noir was telling the truth, because even, like, in kind of, I don't know, in the spotlight, like, of getting, like, attention from this new show, right, he still doesn't want to, like, talk about it. And you actually see that he starts to smile, because it's like, oh, Ladybug, you saved me. You knew that I was uncomfortable about this, and you, like, helped me avoid the topic, you know? And so I thought that was kind of nice. And so, yeah, then we have Hawkmoth saying, you know, he wants to find a way to make his dream come true. Obviously, the implication is that's about Emily, right? Thank you, Luka. Thanks to you, our secret identities were preserved and no one discovered who Cat Noir and I really are. Right? Not even you. Right? And so, okay, so here's the thing. So this is where I was saying that, like, that Luka's kind of a hypocrite, and this is what I want to make the video about, because he lied. And so I wonder what his reasoning is going to be. And and I'm so excited to talk about it. Like, I've already kind of mentioned it. Like, is he gonna feel guilty about it? Like, of you know, lying to her, and eventually he'll tell Marinette that he knows, or Adrien that he knows. Like, I don't know. But you could also have it so now he understands the value in a little white lie. Like, there's so many things that you could do with this, and I'm so excited. But I wonder, like, could that be the mistake that they were alluding to and that they were talking about? Could it have been? But they couldn't have defeated the villain without Luka, right? So ultimately, like, that couldn't have been a mistake, right? Because they couldn't have won without him. And so I feel like that it's not going to be, oh, Luka gets akumatized and then tells Hawkmoth who they really are. Like, that would be so bad, right? I don't think that they're gonna do that. I think that, like, instead, Luka is gonna be a very helpful force. You know, maybe lying about it will cause Ladybug to be like, whoa, that's not nice, Luka. You wanted me to be honest with you, but you can't be honest with me. But I feel like that they'll get over it. And I feel like that maybe this could also, like, kind of lead to, again, Cat Noir, like, trusting, like, Luka or something, you know? And so I feel like that would be interesting. And look how sad he is. He feels bad, seemingly, that he had to lie. And so I hope that comes back. Like, is it going to be, like, these big feelings of guilt? Is it going to be, like, oh, you know, I needed to lie to Marinette because she would freak out, like, she would be so worried if I knew both of their identities. Like, I definitely want to see his, like, rationalization for it. And see, again, Marinette comes out of here like, oh, Luka, thanks for hiding me. I've totally been here the whole time. But, like, you know, he knows that she wasn't. It was nothing, Marinette. You know you can always count on me, right? So he's trying to, like, kind of tell her without telling her. Like, you can count on me. Make sure you also know that means as Viperion too, right? Like, almost, like, subconsciously, right? And I love this. We're all okay, thanks to Ladybug and Cat Noir. And I'm like, Luka, you're being pretty subtle here. And I like how they, like, look at each other. Like, I thought that was, like, really, really cute. But yeah, I think the implications cannot fit in this video. Like, it has to be a separate video talking about the implications. So guys, tell me, like, where do you think this is going with Luka knowing? I may not remember my childhood dreams, but that's okay. And see, again, think about the framing of this shot. Like, he's looking at his mom, right? A picture of him and his mom. And I'm like, is she the reason why you don't remember? Because she was controlling you the entire time, question mark, right? I don't know, maybe. It's time to focus on the future and find my inner music, like Luka said. And so again, that's very interesting when you think about it, because, like, what if, like, the whole, like, Luka said thing, like, comes back in a sense where he's, like, really depressed and everything, and he knows that he can't go to Nino because Nino doesn't accept him for who he is. And, like, I had the theory he would go to Marinette, but what if he's like, you know what, my buddy Luka, you know, helped me once before, I can talk to him again. So I thought that, like, that could be really, really nice. That's something I never considered before, but I feel like that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Like, for him to go to Luka, and maybe that'll be the first identity reveal, and Luka will just, like, either, like, yeah, I already know because I'm Viperion, or he'll just be, like, pretends to be shocked, you know what I mean? And I love this from Marinette, too. She's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it all. I'll be Ladybug. I'll design clothes, shoes, jewelry, rocket ships. Like, I love this little action from her. This made me really, really happy. I'll be Luka's best friend, and I will love Adrien, and I thought that was great, too. And I feel like, again, like, I don't know, I feel like Luka's gonna be important, bro. But how will you do it all at the same time? I don't know yet. What a big mood, sis. And then we see Alex's new show. It's so hard to say. Alec is new show. And so, yeah. And now we're going to love one another, starting with everyone loving themselves. So again, that's like a clear RuPaul reference, because RuPaul says, like, if you can't love yourself, like, how are you gonna love anyone else? Can I get an amen or something? I don't know. I haven't watched RuPaul's Drag Race in a long time, so I'm not sure. But like, that's directly, like, a RuPaul reference. And so they basically just, you know, switched it up. Like, we're going to love each other, starting with everyone loving themselves first. Like, it's the same vibe as the RuPaul line, right? Because how are you going to love other people if you don't love yourself, right? It's the reverse, because RuPaul says, how are you going to, yeah, I mean, I guess it's not the reverse. It's kind of the same, right? Like, you have to love yourself, or how are you going to love anyone else? Like, it's basically, yeah, it is reverse. It's reversed phrasing, but it's the same meaning, right? And so I thought that was really nice. And so now he has a new show where he helps people live their childhood dreams, and I thought that was nice. And then we kind of have, like, a little, like, fairy godmother vibe type thing, you know, pixie dust, magic, the moon, the stars, the whole thing. So I thought that was really nice. And then we basically come to the end of this episode where we see Luka looking down at Ladybug and Cat Noir. A little bit of a metaphor. Adrien looking concerning as always, right? Kind of like how in the other episode he was like looking up at the moon. Like Marinette seems so empowered and so happy, but Adrien's just getting worse and worse. And so I feel like that we definitely like need to get that like Adrien like resolution, right? Because I feel like the Marinette really struggled at the beginning with her feelings of this season. Like, what if I'm not good enough as a guardian? I'm under so much pressure. I'm under so much stress. But then, right, she got better and more confident in herself. Adrien has kind of gotten like worse and worse and sadder. So I hope the end of the season is resolving that, and maybe Luka will help a little bit. So what did you guys think of the episode? So happy to talk about this with all of you guys. I hope that you enjoyed my discussion. Thank you for attending Calxiyn's Royal Court. I will now go to bed because it is 11 o'clock and I'm going to sleep. And so yeah, I hope that you all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Let me know about those things because I gotta make those theories, those Luka and senti-monster theories. So let me know, and I will see you later. Bye!